Hi guys, I'm Aditi. So today is 7th of July, and 7th of July has been one of the most difficult days in my life for several years now, and due to some personal reasons. And it brought back all the memories from the past, especially last year. So I thought of documenting it because this might help certain people. So, as I said, just because it's a very difficult day for me, last year on the same day, I was counting on my mom, who was supposed to be in Chennai with me on 9th of July. So, I thought, okay, 2 days I'll just push somehow, and 9th of July, my support system will be here and all those things. But she cancelled on me on a very last moment, and I was shocked at first, and very next moment I was so angry, and I started lashing out and texting her all angry text and messages and all, and like shouting at call on calls and everything. And when I came back to my senses, I didn't know that why did I behave the way I did. Like, okay, she cancelled the plan, so what? But I knew one thing for sure, that I have experienced this feeling, this very emotion, even before, and not just once, twice, many of times. So it, I was not sure. Like, my behavior made me think that it. I was ashamed of myself for behaving that way. It gave me some kind of a guilt and made me think everything, that what's wrong with me, why do I behave the way I do, and I'm so unlovable and everything. And when I finally got my diagnosis about borderline personality disorder, and now when I was thinking about that moment, it started making all sense, that that was my fear of abandonment, that she canceling on a very last moment was very difficult for me to understand, realize it, and accept it, because my emotions were on peak at that moment. All I knew that someone has cancelled on me, someone has abandoned me, which wasn't the case. But with borderline personality disorder, it happens very often. And as I said, that I have experienced this feeling even before. So I started going back on in my past, and I remember me experiencing that emotion when in 2018 my roommate suddenly moved out of our place. That was a very tough time to deal with, because I started blaming myself that I am a bad person. She moved out because of me, and I made her move. I'm that bad, which again took me back to 2016 of February, uh, when there was a marriage discussion happening for me, and I was in a contact with one guy, and our families were discussing about our marriage and everything. And on a very day, that guy was supposed to tell me about his decision, and we had a nice conversation till morning, afternoon, and he was supposed to give me his decision in the evening, and he didn't call on the time which we had decided. So I waited for a couple of hours, but then I was worried if he's fine or not. So I called him back, and the first thing he said after answering my call, that who's this? That was a shock to me, because we have been in contact for months now. You have my number. But somehow I consoled myself saying that, okay, maybe his mobile is in his pocket. He just answered through his headphones and everything. The next moment I asked him if he's rejecting me or whatsoever. He had blocked me until then. And I couldn't feel a thing for a very long time. Like, uh, I started baking instead of, I wasn't able to sleep actually, and I wasn't able to think straight. So I just started baking. And luckily, I had an order for engagement cake for the next day. So while I was doing that, my mom got up, and when I saw her crying, that was the moment when I realized, okay, something has happened, and that's when I cried. So this grieving process does take me time, does take time for me actually. So, which again took me back to 2014 of December when few of my friends were supposed to go on a Goa trip, and they had asked if anyone wants to join, and I was in for that because I needed a very uh, that break was very necessary for me. I had been through so much in 2014 on personal level. So I kept waiting until next morning for the confirmation from one guy. And as I got up next morning, the first thing I saw on group that people who were not even part of that trip were traveling with these people, and they were sending photos and pit stops and everything. And that was another shock to me, but it was very I couldn't feel a thing at that point of time. So as usual, I started baking. Fortunately, it was my grandpa's birthday, so I somehow calmed myself down and everything. And these are the incidents which I was able to recollect today. And I was angry actually after that. Like, for a few moments, I couldn't feel a thing, but I was angry after that. And I was thinking that this all leads to my fear of abandonment, that people leaving me suddenly without even telling me anything. And it's all my fault. I'm not lovable. I don't deserve anyone. And for past couple of weeks, I have that feeling that I'm not ready to enter in a real world with people, because as soon as I enter the real world, I am gonna mess up things. I'm gonna mess up everyone's life and everything. So when I thought about it, it made all sense that why I was feeling that way. And I know there are people with BPD who might feel the same. They are not even diagnosed, or they don't know why they are behaving in a certain way. I'll tell you, you better talk to some mental health professional. But at the same time, if you are going through certain situations, there are certain things which might help you to cope up with that situation. So, being a BPD person, I our mind is so used to with certain things which helped us to survive in those moments, like lashing out and being angry, and even self harm and some suicidal thoughts and everything, because those things which helped us previously, so our brain will obviously go back to those things which are making which are getting us back to our senses. But there are certain things which I would like to tell you I'm trying to do mindfully whenever I can. So, first thing is helpline numbers. There are helpline numbers for suicidal thoughts and self harm. If you are, in that situation, you can call those helplines. Uh, they are 24/7 available. To me, it was very hesitant to even contact them or certain people because I didn't want to, you know, lose those people by calling them in this situation, because I used to think, okay, they might think I'm all negative person, or I'm bringing the negativity into their life, and how many days this girl will keep crying and all the thoughts. So it's a loop. So I was hesitant to call the helpline, but I'm trying to do that right now. There is another coping strategies where you can, uh, if you have a primary support system like friends, family, or and even your roommate, or anyone, it's a well and good. Tell them about your condition so that they'll be aware of your condition. And if not, if you are dealing with yourself, then one technique is square breathing. So it's four counts of inhale, four counts of hold, four counts of exhale, and four counts of hold. And repeat this thing. Also, while doing this breathing exercise, make sure you know your capacity, because sometimes these breathing exercises might bring your blood pressure down. So, again, you have to face some another problem. So, don't do that. Make sure you are aware of your capacity. This is one thing. And there is another thing is, you can, if you keep cold water in your fridge, and just splash some water on your face, or if not, there are some ice cubes, then put them in a water and just splash that water on your face. Or this is something which is not too much practical, or it's a kind of expensive. So, but it does help sometimes, that if you have AC, then you can switch on the AC and uh, lessen the temperature of your room and all. So this helps me a lot, but it is very expensive at times after seeing that electricity bill. So that's not a practical option, but it is one of the options if possible. Creating this cold atmosphere and putting a shawl on you and creating that cozy atmosphere for you. And there is another not so practical and expensive option is ordering some food which you have been avoiding since you are health freak, or you are broke, or it's an outside food so you can't eat right now, and many reasons. So in that case, just treat yourself with something really good which you like. It it does help in some ways little bit. Then there are aromatherapies, whichever fragrance you like. But again, make sure that you are not using any fragrance which will trigger you at any point. Like some people remember other people with their the way they smell, their fragrances, their perfumes, and everything. So make sure you are not using any of those things which will trigger you at the end. Then there are uh, certain apps in your mobile. So right now I'm using this meditation app actually. which is called Insight Timer. So this app actually is in purchase, but you don't have to buy it. Like if you are not gonna use it on extreme level. So this app helps me to note down my moods, how I'm feeling and all. And this app has various sounds which will help you to fall asleep, to for breathing, for relaxation, for body scan, everything. So this is a very helpful app which you can use at that moment. And these are the things which you can do for yourself to calm yourself down in those intense moments. But there is one more actually, which is called replacing your positive thoughts with the all negative. Like in my case, if I have to say, when I was angry at my mom that she cancelled on me and everything. At that moment, I couldn't think about it because I was held up with all those intense emotions. But I'm practicing that whenever this happens, I have to remind myself that she has certain limitations, though she is my mom, and if not, like even though she has cancelled on me, she has done tons of things for me to keep me safe. She has took me out of depressive episodes and everything. So you have to replace certain positive thoughts with that negative. And one of the most important thing I forgot to tell, which is creating a boundary. Now, with families, especially with Indian families, it is very difficult to create a boundary to tell someone that, listen, you let me know when you are gonna come and when you are gonna leave. Because to me, it was very uh, that sudden moment whether someone is coming home or leaving the place. It used to make me very anxious and sad and angry that why they are leaving the place and all. So all these emotions. Now when I'm talking, if you can see, for a BPD person, it's not like this emotion and then this emotion. It's in a day, it can be like this constantly. So it's that tiring at a time. And to deal with all and then console yourself, to bring you back in your senses, and all this work, it takes a lot of your energy, which is not a cakewalk. Seriously. So after you do all these things, just make sure you pat on your back and tell yourself that you did a good job because you survived that moment. You understood it, which certain people might not and won't, or maybe they are not aware of. So you survived that moment, that day, that feeling, and that's a big achievement. So make sure you treat yourself with something purely good. That's it from me. Thank you.